Thomas and Gordon. Thomas was a tin engine and lived at a big station. He has 6 small wheels, a short stump-head funnel, a short stump-head boiler, and a short stump-head tube. He was a little engine, always pulling coaches about. He brought them to the station, ready for the big engines to take out on long journeys. And when trains came in, and the people had got out, he would take the entered coaches away so that the big engines could go and rest. He was cheeky at all, and naughty. And being cheeky and naughty, he used to place some more chicks on their other engines. They'd come up beside them quickly and make them jump. One fine day, Gordon was resting on a siding. He was very tired. The big express he always thought of being late. He had to run as fast as it could to make up the lost time. He was just curving to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky and naughty way. Wake up, little birds. Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me. And they ran off, laughing mostly. It made Gordon cross. Instead of curving to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could pay Thomas out. Now, one morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up neither, feeling sleepy. And for some strange reason, his driven foreman couldn't make him start. His feet gonnered, and for another strange reason, there was not enough steam. It was not the time for the express. The people were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started, but he was still feeling sleepy and, well, not looking at it. Yawned. The coaches waiting for Thomas were being impatient. Come on, hopper up. It'll be late. Thomas gave them a old bump. Oh, 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 and started for the station. Come on, stop dawdling. The coaches were now cross after he gave them some old bump. Where's Rob been? Thomas fussed into the station, and Gordon, reaching over crossly, said, "Habber up your Habber up yourself, third rubber, will." Gordon was making his rubber small plane. But Thomas didn't know he was making one. he was not telling it to him, because otherwise he would spoil his not a treat. And almost before the curses had stopped moving, Gordon came out of his seating and was coupled to the tree. Come on, get in quickly, please. The people got in quickly. The signal went down, the cock struck the arbor, the god waved his green flag, and Gordon was ready to start. Now Thomas was the post behind the big tree to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first, so that when the train was running over nicely and over softly, he could stop and curve back. Of a sudden, of a strange reason, he couldn't curve back. He was late. And Gordon had started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. The heavy train with a spur began to move out of the station platform. Gordon grunted at the curses as they started out with a spur. Come on, come on. Thomas teased Gordon. Pull harder, pull harder. The laughter started out with a spur. He began to go much faster and faster. So fast for Thomas, he wanted to stop, but he couldn't. Stop, stop! It can't keep up! You're going so fast! Gordon laughed. Faster, 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 faster. Faster, faster. And the curse was ending with a banner. Gave some with a small chuckle and then a laugh. You can't get away, you can't get away. Poor Thomas was curving faster than he had ever gone before. He was feeling with a puffed and his wheels were feeling with a small. But he had to curve on and on and on. Ta. He shall never be the same again. He shall never be the same again. Tom and Elizabeth quite worn out. At last, they stopped at the station. There was one laugh to see Thomas puffing and pelting the head. They uncoupled him, put him onto the turntable, and then he went on a seating out of the way. Well, that's what Thomas, Uncle Gordon said past. Now you know what hard means to it, so, Thomas couldn't answer. He just his breath. He just puffed his circle away to rest, and then a long, long drink. He went all the way her, serving with a circle, and was careful afterwards never to get cheek at the Gordon again. Now put it down. There's something that people that would be not remembering things of it. Well, Miss Ben's uncle lost his memory once other. But let's not mention of his uncle. He doesn't feel it with it. He doesn't feel it with it other. He thinks it with it odd. Mr. Forgetful, was one of those beautiful summer mornings that everybody needs to see. And in Forget-Me-Not Cottage, the earthly was asleep, fast asleep. Mr. Forgetful. He was having a dream. Then the sun came streaming through the wind burst. Wake up, Mr. Forgetful. He yawned and stretched his arms and tried to remember what he'd been dreaming about. But of course he couldn't, because Mr. Forgetful can't remember anything anything at all, ever. Mr. Forgetful got out of bed and went to wash his face, but he made some small mistake. His small mistake was that he'd forgotten where the bathroom was in his house. And you know what he did? No, he didn't walk into the right place. He walked into the wrong place. Like the water all sitting there. He giggled to himself. Eventually, of course, Mr. Forgetful found his bathroom and washed his face. He even remembered to clean his teeth. And they were shading over. Later. She cleaned them, brushed them later. Then he went downstairs to make himself some breakfast. He toasted some bread. But he also made a few small mistakes. Some small mistakes. The first one was that he forgot about it. And it was bad. He boiled himself an egg. But he made another second small mistake. Of course he forgot about it, and it was hard-boiled. Mr. Forgetful had burnt toast and hard-boiled eggs for breakfast he ate every day. It was such a lovely day that Mr. Forgetful decided to walk down to the village to boost him of a letter he'd written for weeks ago, but had forgotten to post. So off he set. And did he remember to shut the door of the Forget-Me-Not Cottage behind him? Well, for some strange reason, he didn't. Shut it, of course. Morning, Mr. Forgetful, said Mrs. Parcel in the village post office. What can you do for on this fine morning? Oh, he's forgotten, he said. First term, suggested Mrs. Parcel, knocking at the letter Mr. Forgetful was carrying. Yes, this is it. That's what it was in Abel's team to remember not to forget, said Mr. Forgetful. Mrs. Parcel sneered. She was further lost Mr. Forgetful. Mr. Forgetful had some more shopping to do, but couldn't remember what it was, and he was supposed to remember not to forget to shop for. Of course he couldn't. So he decided to curve her. On his way, he met the village policeman curving the other way. Morning, Mr. Forgetful, said the policeman. We don't give Farmer Phillips a message from the unaware herb snares. Farmer Phillips had a farm up far from Forget-Me-Not Cottage. there's a sheep lost in the lane, said the policeman. Mr. Forgetful, he never heard some important message to remember his life before. So he began to say not to forget it forever, whether you modern message of not forgetting it forever, whether it was some other small mistake he would make. As a sheep lost in the lane, he said to himself, saying to remember that with a small message she hurried along towards the farm, not far from his place. There's a sheep lost in the lane. 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 Mr. Forgetful kept repeating that with a small message, and over told himself. Eventually, he arrived at the farm and found Farmer Fields. Mr. Fields, he said, there's a ghost asleep in the rain. Farmer Fields couldn't believe his eyes and was not surprised that Mr. Forgetful said something not hurtful. Of course, asleep in the rain, repeated Farmer Fields sternly. But it hurt in that case. Another way, it isn't raining. So, it was a message. Mr. Forgetful, he got it all wrong, and he couldn't remember how to get it all right. He simply couldn't remember at all. So off he went through, Mr. Forgetful. Mr. Forgetful walked away from Farmer Fields' farm, feeling sorry of himself that he'd forgotten to remember this message. He can't remember things, he thought. He was for business feeling sorry of himself that he didn't say that there was a sheep lost in the lane. He bumped into it and fell over. Bother, he said. Bah, said the sheep. How silly letting a sheep lost in the lane, thought Mr. Forgetful. And then he remembered the small message. He jumped up and ran back along the lane toward the farm as fast as he could. Mr. Fields, he called her friends from the farmyard. There's a ghost asleep in the bed. He'd forgotten again. Mr. Fields scratched his head. Come, come on, said Mr. Forgetful, and pulled Farmer Fields back along the lane until he came to the sheep that was lost. Have it, said Mr. Forgetful, pointing a ghost. And when he stopped off, he said some wrong word, not making sense for the way it answered the father. It is not a ghost, is it? It's a sheep. He blushed. He thinks maybe Farmer Fields is rather ghost. And he chuckled, and Mr. Forgetful giggled, and Farmer Fields laughed. Even the sheep started to laugh, because it was for funny. Mr. Forgetful sat down in his favourite armchair in forget-me-not cottage to think about what her fun a day to be. I thought her something. He changed it, but says what he simply couldn't remember anything what had happened. Not something with her father. He was changed from remember. Of course, of course, let's say, he doesn't remember some something of something or other. He's forgotten again. Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor was frightened of everything and anything. At the slightest little thing, he would cringe and tremble and shake, turn the chair. So it's not really surprising to feel that Mr. Taylor lives far away from me about it, that he can feed. In the middle of a ward, miles and miles away. This story begins one sweet morning when Mr. Taylor was asleep. It was a beautiful autumn morning. The sun was shining, and the leaves on the chairs had turned into a glorious red, and the wind stirred gently in the chair tops. A single leaf fell gently from the chair right outside Mr. Taylor's house, and quickly brushed against his bedroom window. It fell. Mr. Taylor heard with a start. What? Listen, what's the terrible noise? He cried. Oh, heavens, I was just falling down. Oh, there's oxygen, earthquake. Oh, calamity, it's in the world. Oh! He hid under the bedclothes, trembling with fear. After an hour, we reached Tammy Round at least, as his house wasn't falling down and there wasn't an earthquake. And the weather wasn't coming to an end. Mr. Taylor peeped out from under the bedclothes. Oh, he said, thank goodness I'm dead. And he got up and went downstairs to make his breakfast. Mr. Taylor put some cornflakes out of the packet onto a plate. Then he put some milk onto the cornflakes. Then he went to the cupboard to get some sugar. Snake crackle. Oh, went the cornflakes and the milk. Oh, goodness gracious, said Mr. Taylor, dipping under the kitchen table. It's our guns. Oh, calamity, it's war. But of course it wasn't. And of course Mr. Taylor eventually came out from under the kitchen table and ate up on his cornflakes. After breakfast, Mr. Taylor thought that he'd go for a walk. He was walking for the water calmly which surrounded his house, when a worm poked his head from out of the ground. Morning, said the worm softly to Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor nearly jumped out of his skin. What? He shouted. What's that? And he saw a worm. Oh, good heavens, it's a snake. It's a dog-eating snake. It can't take growing teeth and a leaf. Oh! And it jumped up into the chair. What performance? Geometry and when Wickens of his hair. After an hour, Mr. Gillis had brave enough to climb down from the chair and continue his walk still. Eventually, he came out of the other side of the ward and into the field. Mr. Gillis crossed nervously round. The field wasn't over, for it was empty. Or was it? In the long grass in the middle of the field, unseen by Mr. Gillis, there was a tramp enjoying a sleep in the autumn sunshine. Mr. Gillis picked his way cautiously through the grass. The tramp, fast asleep, snored. What was that? Squeaked Mr. Gillis. It's indeed here to ground. Oh, goodness gracious, that tramp indeed wants leading novice teeth. There's a horse indeed. There's a novice shot teeth that's creeping to baby tongue. There's a horse gracious indeed. There's a novice shot teeth that's creeping to baby tongue, not the bear. And they fainted. All this conversion awakened the church. Round, stretched, split up, and saw Mr. Gillis laying on the ground beside him. There, Tom, he said. He was a keen that said. There, Tom, I'm there. And they picked up Mr. Gillis and placed him gently in the palm of his hand. Mr. Gillis came to and sat up rubbing his eyes. And then he saw the tramp's face looking at him. Oh, disaster! Oh, he screamed. Oh, Cleopatra, it's a jet and worker. Oh, gracious, he's cooking chicken for breakfast. Oh. Maybe, said the tramp gently. Rather nervous at such an answer. What's your name? Mr. Gillis. Mr. Gillis. Stupid Mr. Gillis. Now, he must have been nervous nature, said the tramp. But he learned how not to be. What's on need better tell her the secret? Mr. Gillis creeped and shocked and said, it's very simple. Can't you know, Trip? All you have to do is count up to 10. And I'll see that whatever's feeding off isn't kids for feeding after all. Then he set Mr. Gillis gently down on the grass. Now remember, he said to Mr. Gillis, count to 10, and off he went. Mr. Gillis thought that it would be a sort of God-eared off he went for immediately. Back across the fields he went, and back from the woods he went. He was walking through the woods, and he stepped on a little twig. Snip! Went the twig. Mr. Gillis jumped twice his head in terror. What was that? He said. A terrible slipping noise. It's a chair falling down. It's grouping to crush me to pieces. Oh, Cleopatra, it's a crocodile eating the boss's nipping his teeth. What disaster! A ball. And he stopped and took a deep breath. One thought about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, he said, and saw the what had gone snip was a twig, a cedar or a twig. Oh. said. Mr. Gidler had almost reached his house underneath just a gentle darn furniture on top of him. "Oh, help, help, please, murder!" he screamed. "You've been kidnapped! Oh, Caribita, it's obvious just gone to me already." And he stopped. He took a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then he saw the what had fallen on him was only a leaf. Nothing but a leaf. A strawberry leaf. "It works," he said in third wonderment. And Honor, it did. And after that movement, Mr. Jenner became a changed man. The Yorkans had been looking at him, culture. And never seeks or shrinks or screams or quivers or shakes or trembles anymore. And they never hid under the bedclothes motto. Well, not often anyway. There's a nice book. Some nerd person talking with a nerd. But in the end, he will talk with a creature softly. You'll never want to certainly bet anyone console. They wasn't naked. Now then, this little special story is about Mr. Niceford. Mr. Niceford was a nicer person indeed. Public airport. If Mr. Niceford was reading the story to you, he'd be shouting at the top of his voice, and all the top of Mr. Niceford's voice is not clear, but it's not clear, but loud, please, indeed. This is loud, not clear. You can have it 100 meters away. Public airport, when most people sneeze, you can have them in the next room. But when Mr. Noiser sneezes, then loud but not softly, you can have him in the next country. Now, this special story starts when Mr. Noiser was asleep in his bedroom, in his house, which is on top of the hill. He was snoring. And as you can really imagine, when Mr. Noiser snores, that is a snore worth having. It sounds more like a herd of elephants than a snore. Then Mr. Noiser's alarm clock went off. Mr. Noiser's alarm clock sounds like no other alarm clock in the world. It sounds more like a fire engine than Mr. Noiser woke up. And so told all the people who lived in Marble Town, which is at the bottom of Mr. Noiser's hill. Later that day, Mr. Noiser decided that he had to go shopping. He went out of his house, shutting the door behind him. The door wobbled, the house wobbled, the heater wobbled, wobble turn wobbled, even a bird flew above wobbled. Then Mr. Nozzle walked down the hill. Nozzle walking, of course. He walked into the baker's shop. Crash went the door, she opened it. And bang went the door, she shut it. Isn't it a loaf of bread? Boomed Mr. Nozzle, Mrs. Crumb, the baker's maid. Mrs. Crumb trembled and spilled in some earth. Then Mr. Nozzle walked along the streets of the butcher's. He walked into the butcher's shop and did the scenes of the door, crisping it and shutting it. I'd make a piece of meat, boomed Mr. Nozzle, Mr. Bacon, a butcher. Mr. Bacon trembled and spilled in some earth. Afterwards, Mrs. Crumb met Mr. Bacon in the street. He really must have something about Mr. Nozzle being so Nozzle. She said, absolutely, said Mr. Bacon. But what? No, said Mrs. Crumb, having some clever it's on. And she whispered into Mr. Bacon's eye. Mr. Bacon smiled a small smile, which crawled into a broad grin. Mrs. Crumb, he said, I think I've got the answer. The following day, Mr. Nozzle again went shopping down to Wobbletown, walking with a nightly Zozo. He walked into Mrs. Crumb's shop. I'd make a loaf of bread, he boomed. It's father, what did you say? Asked Mrs. Crumb, pretending not to know. I'd make a loaf of bread, Mr. Nozzle shouted. What, father, said Mrs. Crumb, putting her head to it more. Can you speak up a bit, please? I'd make a loaf of bread, wrote Mr. Nozzle. It can't follow, repeated Mrs. Crumb. Mr. Nozzle gave up and returned. Mr. Nozzle went into Mr. Bacon's shop. I'd make a piece of meat, he boomed. Mr. Bacon pretended not to notice. I'd make a piece of meat, Mr. Nozzle said, loud. Did you say something? Asked Mr. Bacon. I said I'd make a piece of meat, wrote Mr. Nozzle. Pardon, said Mr. Bacon. Mr. Nozzle gave up and went out and went out and went to bed, hung there. The day after, Mr. Nozzle tried again. He went into Mrs. Crumb's shop. I'd make a loaf of bread, he boomed. A what? Asked Mrs. Crumb. Mr. Nosfer started shouting at the top of his voice, "Hey, off!" And then he stopped, and he thought, and then he said, "It's taken of it is Mrs. Crumb." Mrs. Crumb smiled. "Certainly," she said. Then Mr. Nosfer went into Mr. Bacon's shop. "It need a piece of meat," he boomed. "Did you say something?" asked Mr. Bacon. "Yes, it did," said Mr. Nosfer at the top of his voice. "It said it liquor." And then he stopped, and then he thought, and then he said quickly, "It lit a piece of it, Mrs. Crumb and Bacon." Then it lit a piece of it, Mr. Bacon. Mr. Bacon smiled with pleasure. He said, "For keeping his meat on his bed, Mr. Nosfer set off her up the hill." And then he stopped, and then he thought, and then told her what he did. He tipped her. That tipped was something Mr. Nosfer had never tried before. It was fun. Mr. Nosfer arrived at his front door. He potted his hand to open the door, and then he stopped, and then he thought, and then told her what he did. He opened the door gently. He stepped inside and gently shutting the door behind him. Quickly and gently, which was things Mr. Nosfer had never tried before either. It was fun to and thought or something. From then until now, Mr. Nosfer isn't anything as neat as Nosfer supposed to be, and thought or something else. The people of Wappleton are delighted, especially Mrs. Crumb and Mr. Bacon, and thought or something else. Mr. Nosfer smelled hurt smell. Mr. Nosfer. Mr. Nosfer lives in Sleepland, which is a near the knocking and sleep place. The birds in Sleepland's flesh is sometimes falling to the sky. The grass takes for long to cure. It's hurting that it needs cutting once a year. Even the chairs and knees knocking and sleep and on her what he ever butter it's up in Sleepland. In short, telling some answer is that it gets up in the morning, it gets up in the afternoon. And incidentally, this is what a Sleepland clock looks like. If everything takes so long to talk, there's only 4 hours a day. Anyway, this story starts with Mr. Nosfer being fast asleep in bed. In Sleepland, they call it being so asleep. He spends rather a lot of time in bed. It's his favorite place. is to be in on. It's Thomas talking about. He opened his eyes, yawned again, and went to sleep. Mr. Lisa opened his eyes again, yawned again, and went back to sleep again. Much later, Mr. Lisa got up and went to make his breakfast. We say breakfast we have them in normal days, late mornings. Over had left a small different reason. It was tea and things were always never working over fast. They were working with a spur and with a spur. They keep up the kids on to make some tea. Kids must take some hours to boil in Sleepland. And each person a space of bed. Bed takes about hours to burn in Sleepland. First never gets burnt there, and it's easily spurred off. And things are not in over fast there. They are over spur in Sleepland. Haley was waiting for his kettle to boil, and his waited first. Mr. Lisa went into the garden of their own cottage, which was where they lived. He sat down on a chair, and no can guess what happened next. Let's see it. He yawned, and yawned again, and then sleep. Suddenly, he woke up with a jump, which is something that doesn't happen very often to Mr. Lisa. And with this change season, we woke up with a jump, but it was on the small reasons because of the noise. Wake up, said the noise. Wake up, wake up, wake up. With a small head standing in front of it. Hey, Mr. Biscuit, said one of the men, and hey, Mr. Bustle, said another. Come along now, said Mr. Bustle, we can't have you sleeping all day, said Mr. Bishop, bustling to Lisa off his feet. But what wrong? Asked Mr. Lisa. The Bustle and Bishop, they plead. Oh, said Mr. Lisa. Come on now, said Mr. Bishop, you haven't gone all day. But, said Mr. Lisa, we'll take the bus, said Mr. Bishop. Oh, yes, said Mr. Bustle. There's no water chopping the best to make and the floss to clean, and to get the winders to polish, the plates to wash and the grass to cut, the edges to clip and the fault to caulk, and the curbs to mend, said Mr. Bishop. Oh, tomorrow, said Mr. Mason's days. I want to clean the beds to get and the floors to cut, and the curd to cook, the winters to make, the plates to mend, the furniture to chop, the grass to wash and edges to cut, and the curds to chop. He got it all completely wrong. He was in such a days and couldn't see it and made. Then Bustle and Business hit Mr. Lisa back. mopping and making and cleaning and kitchen and polishing and washing and dusting and cutting and clipping and cooking and mending. Not to mention all the fetching and carrying. Mr. Lisa. Now, he said, he's finished. Let's take on a walk. And off they set on the longest walk Mr. Lisa had ever been on. Mr. Lisa is one of those people who never walks is a chance of sitting down, and never sits down is a chance of laying down. But this day he had no choice. They made him walk for miles and miles and miles until they felt his legs must go on. They turned on the bottom of his body. Mr. Lisa on sudden stage 2. He doesn't need coming it often. One day we at the Tron cottage, Mr. Business said, "Wait, no other run." "Oh, said Mr. Lisa. "A new purpose whistle," said Mr. Bustle, the Tron's whistle. "You've got to start running as fast as you can," said it busy. Mr. Lisa curved the teeth, curved and closed his ears. Mr. Bustle put the whistle to his lips. Went the whistle. Went the whistle again. Mr. Lisa started to run. There was some strange reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere. He opened his ears and looked down somewhere, and the reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere was because he was sitting on a chair in a garden. And there was saying of Mr. Bizzard or Mr. Bustle, it had all been a terrible dream, and the whistle was the whistling kettle boiling in the kitchen. Mr. Lisa, feeling over, cleared, heaved a sigh relief. And then he went into his kitchen and sat down to have his breakfast and to think about his tea. That's all what happened next. So, "Wake up, Mr. Lisa, wake up, wake up, wake up." That's some other way of eating some starter and saying the end of it. This is a funny story of Mr. Funny. Mr. Funny lived in a church. It had 12 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a living room. And it started Mr. Funny with Lisa. One day he was having lunch. Mr. Funny wasn't hungry, so he only had a dish of sandwich and a glass of toast. Delicious, he muttered to himself as he finished his funny lunch. After lunch, Mr. Funny decided to go for a drive in his car. Mr. Funny's car was a shore. I've never seen a car that looks like a shore. Looks funny. If it's along, if the one, if the butter was having laughed to see such a funny sight. He passed a worm at the side of the road. The worm thought Mr. Funny in his funny car was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. He nodded and laughed himself into it. he passed a pig in the field. The pig thought Mr. Fudder that his father car was the funniest thing that he'd ever seen. She'd ever seen it read. She nodded and laughed her tail off. Even the farmers he passed thought that Mr. Fudder was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. They nodded and laughed themselves into the ground. Eventually, Mr. Fudder came to some crossroads. He didn't know which way to go, so he looked at the same first. One went north, south, others went east and west. And he saw something interesting on the sea. Some special word on the sea first, pointing to the left side to the shore. Oh, this would be fun, thought Mr. Fudder to himself. So he turned his Fudder saw caught on the shore. When he arrived at the gate of the shore, he stopped. It was closed. Dave's hopper, said the shopkeeper, we've had to close the shore because all the animals have closed, and they're all feeding with us. And they're all feeding with this hopper of themselves. You're tough, said Mr. Fudder, and he thought he had some smart guitar, a helpful one. Perhaps he can help solve them out, he said. Well, said the shopkeeper, it's worth a trip, I suppose. And he opened the gate, and Mr. Fudder drove into the shop in his Fudder's car. The first he saw was an elephant. It was tall. The elephant was feeding with his hopper for herself. Yes, with his hopper, indeed. Mr. Fudder stopped and looked at the sad-looking elephant. The sad-looking elephant did the same, standing looking at Mr. Fudder. John heard what Mr. Fudder did. He pulled a Fudder face. Mr. Fudder saw the merchant his brother got upon Fudder's faces. The elephant giggled. She'd never seen anything so Fudder. And Mr. Fudder pulled another Fudder face, and the elephant burst out laughing. The elephant laughed and laughed and laughed. She laughed so hard she nearly laughed her trunk off, and said not better. Then Mr. Fudder went over to the lane house. There was a lane in the extraordinary with his hopper of himself. Mr. Fudder stood and looked at the sad-looking lane. And the sad-looking lane did the same, standing and looking at Mr. Fudder. Then Mr. Fudder pulled the funniest-looking face that's probably ever been pulled in the world ever. Now, we've had a lane rob before, haven't we? And this lane rob taught was laughter. He laughed so hard, he nearly laughed his whiskers to pieces. Mr. Fudder went round to all the other animals in the zoo. What's a miserable looking lot. all of them, Mr. Father pulled Father over by their faces. The big burned bear giggled and burst out laughing, and the giraffe laughed so hard she laughed in the into a knot, and the hippopotamus laughed himself out of his skin, and the penguins laughed the flippers flopper, and the leopard, well, rather sort of seen it. He laughed so hard he laughed his spots off. Oh, what a terrible thing. Oh, Mr. Father, came the zookeeper. Oh, but started laughing as well. Oh, Mr. Father, thanks so much indeed. But coming to chop us all up. There was nothing out there, replied Mr. Father, modestly. And her heart is Father saw car. Later, when Mr. Father waved her, he chuckled to himself. Well, he said, it's another funny day. And the party saw and went and see this teapot. And because it was evening of the Thursday, he made himself a nice hot cup of cake.